I want to talk to people mostly who are in that circle surrounding the person who's dying and their primary caregiver. The things that we can do to show love, to show support, to let things be as they are. If it's something that we have not been trained in, or where did you learn the skills that I'm going to teach you today? Very few people have them. So the first thing to do before you respond, and then we're going to talk about the saddest truth that many people don't know, even though when you talk about it, they'll go, oh yeah. So it's kind of like an unspoken thing that happens. The third secret is my top tip on how to be a healing presence. Secret number 1. First step, you need to do a quick evaluation of yourself before you even respond to the situation. So say you get a phone call, or say you just talk to somebody and they tell you what's happening to your cousin or to a colleague at work or to your friend or the neighbor down the street. What I'm going to ask you to do is not to respond immediately. I want you to take a step back or a couple steps back. Take an hour, take a couple of hours, take some concentrated time for you. It might not have to be that long if you feel you must respond quickly. However, what I'm going to ask you to do is take a step back, take a deep breath. If you can journal, please do. Grab out a piece of paper and a pen and start writing, because that will help slow you down enough to try to get out what's in your mind and heart. And the reason why you need to do this is imagine that the person who has just received this news, they are overwhelmed. They are usually frightened. They are in shock. They don't need all of your emotion on them right now. There is something called the ring theory. Imagine the circles of a tree, the concentric circles in the tree, and it just gets broader and broader and broader and broader. So the person who's dying or seriously ill is in the very center. The ring right around them is the primary caregiver, the one who's most responsible for helping taking care of them. We usually look at that as the partner, or if they're not married, the daughter, if the son, or whoever's right there next to them, the primary caregiver that will be companioning them for the most part. That's the person in the next ring. And then the third ring is maybe the kids or maybe the cousins, fourth rings, and so forth. Just people keep getting further and further away from the center. What I want you to know right now is that you are definitely not at the center, and you're not the next one out unless you are. If you're the primary caregiver who just found out that your husband or wife or whoever your loved one is that you're going to be caring for, that's a different story. Right now, I'm talking to the other people. If you're the primary caregiver who just found out, it doesn't hurt you either to just step back a moment and really think about yourself. And what I want each one of you to do is to think about yourself. Start writing. Get a lot of stuff out. Get everything out. Just write. I don't care what you're writing about. Just get it out. I want you to ask yourself, are there any heavy, unhealed feelings that I have around any previous death experiences that I've had? Is there any people that have died that you still are very grieved and you can cry at the drop of a hat? I want you to really pay attention to that. And I want you to write the names down. If it's 1, 2, 3, however many people, I want you to write those names down. Next to the names, I want you to write down, what is it about that death? What is it that hurts you still so deeply? And what was it that you needed? Please take the time to do this. Whoever comes to mind, whatever loss that you've had, it might not have been a death, it could have been an abandonment. Whatever makes you so close to tears right now, whatever this is happening right now, I want you to write down, what is it that you needed in this situation? And why I'm asking you to do this is because we often make the mistake of thinking what pains us so deeply and what we needed at that time is what they probably will need. We need to really step away from that because we have no idea what they may need. We don't know the fullness of somebody's life and how they coped and what happened from the minute they were born into this moment. We have no idea. As much as we think we know somebody, we do not know every single thing that makes them tick. So we must have a detachment from what we think they need. And as a person who comes on to this first connection, we need to come forward not having any kind of idea what they need and just come as an empty vessel. You can be sad. but you need to monitor what's going on when you show up. That's why I'm asking you to take a breath and take a step back, unload your feelings, call somebody else that has nothing to do with the situation, because they might not have told anybody else. Maybe you're a person that found out and you shouldn't have found out. Maybe somebody told you and it's supposed to be a secret. Whatever it is, talk to somebody who has nothing to do with the situation and make sure you're okay, that if you go over to that house and they're laughing or they're at peace or they're just kind of going whatever, that your feelings of maybe deep sadness and deep fear are not going to come in and burden the situation. That's something that we all need to be very aware of. If you go to the home and they're crying, okay, they're already crying. You can cry too. If they're in fear, it's better that you're not crying harder and that you're not in more fear than they are. That's a common thing we say in hospital. Yes, you can cry, just don't cry harder than the family. So I'm going to ask you the same thing here. Look at the ring theory. You can look it up on Google. Wherever you are in that circle, you don't dump in. That means you don't wail and cry and oh my God and all that stuff. You in towards the person who's dying or their caregiver or whoever else is in there before you. You dump out. So who's the next circle out? Your friend, your mom, whoever it is. You get to dump out, but you lean into support. Dump out, lean into support. When you show up to a scene, anytime you show up, from the first visit to the last visit before the person dies, you always come centered, grounded, taking care of yourself. We have to do this or else we're going to be that person. And I've seen it hundreds of times where the family's actually doing okay this time. Like say it's a Wednesday morning. They're actually doing great. They're telling jokes. Everything's fine. And then somebody comes in and they haven't done this part yet, what I'm telling you. They haven't taken a moment to gather their own heart and spirit and their thoughts, to separate themselves from what's going on with another human being. And they come and dump all their stuff on the family, and they're actually having a pretty good day today. So I want you to be very conscious of how you're feeling always. Know that what you needed isn't necessarily what they do, and be open to what they say they need so you can be ready to help if you can. The other thing is to take the temperature of the place when you get there. You're not allowed to be heavier than they are. Whatever they're doing, it's fine. When you have heavier feelings than the people in the inner circles than you need to remove yourself, go to the car, do your crying, call somebody else. But you get what I'm saying. Okay, so take care of yourself first. Take this time to heal those parts that you haven't been able to heal yet. Maybe you haven't shared it with anybody. Maybe you haven't let anybody in that 10 years ago your mom died and you still cry every day. There are so many ways that we grieve, and we're afraid to share with people that we're still, like people think I'm still stuck on this or I haven't gotten over it. We'll never get over somebody's meaning in our lives. We'll never get over that. We're not supposed to. People that have gone on from our lives through death, through abandonment, we never stop loving them just because they died or because they left. Many people feel we're supposed to move on in a year or two. So if you're one of those people that are not sharing that part of you, maybe this situation is coming up. You can use it as a healing for yourself. Oftentimes these things, when they come up, if you will use it as a healing time for yourself as well, you're going to be very surprised how you grow in ways that you could not even have imagined. Myth number 1, I love this one. I'm okay. The past is the past, right? No, not necessarily. So sometimes we think we've let that sleeping dog lie, and it's not. We hear somebody's dying that we care about or love, and it's just like everything comes up, and we're like on fire. Our nerves are like raw. It's a myth that most of us are okay and the past is the past. I don't know many people where that's 100% true. If you find out you're one of those people like, oh my gosh, you're getting so alarmed and triggered and all of that, I don't want you to feel ashamed or bad or anything. It's just showing you that you have some work to do. Myth 2, I don't know what to do. I'm not medical. I don't have time to Google everything, and I don't want to screw anything up. Being medical isn't going to help you here. Have you How many of you have been in medical situations and the medical team were not the most compassionate? And it's not because they don't want to. We're not trained how to have this kind of bedside manner with the dying. And we're not trained. And also, we don't have the time in hospital settings and often in home health settings to give the kind of support that hospice does. And that's why this new realm of the end-of-life doula and the end-of-life practitioner and holistic practitioners who are wanting to add this to their healing practice, that's why this is amazing, is because they're going to stand in the gap where medical professionals are seeing all of this, but they're not able to address and help heal it. They're only able to fix the things they can fix. But dying and death, there's nothing to fix. They're going to die. So the only thing we can do is help heal the symptoms that come up along the way, help heal relationships that show that they need some healing and that the person who's dying would like to see it happen that way, leave legacy. There's so many beautiful things that can happen if the person who's dying and their family wants it. It has nothing to do with medical. So do not even worry about it. You don't need to do a Google search. Just come back to this training and listen to it again and you'll be fine. Myth 3. Then they'll say, oh, somebody else, another kind of person would say, oh, I hear it's a mess. I'm going to go over there and I'm just going to handle it. And just don't do that either, because people do feel when you want to come over and take charge, or when you feel like a lot of people's nervousness or anxiety, it's too hard to sit with that. So they're doers. So they'll go to a situation, they'll just start doing. And some ways it's okay. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. Some ways that's okay, but I want you to watch that tendency if you have it. And especially the first couple of visits that you do after you hear about this kind of situation, I would like you to come and be more than do. See if you can do that. Even if you only can go and stay for about 15 or 20 minutes, just go and be and say you're there. You'll be calling to see when you can come back over and all of that. But I'll tell you more exactly how to do that in a minute. I want to get this out too, that just don't go charging over, because there are some personality types that will do that. It's usually not a desirable thing. Secret number 2. I want you to know this, and this is devastating, and it might be surprising to you, but there are many of you listening to this, and you know it's not a surprise, that the people closest to the person who's dying, or the caregiver, or the family, disappear. Fear is behind this. I am quite sure, like nearly 100%. Not knowing what to do, afraid to say and do the wrong thing, afraid to see, oh, but for the grace of God, there go I, oh, I can't look at death. The death is happening right here. Disfigurement is happening in front of me. Losing body functions is happening in front of me. This person is not able to talk the way they used to in front of me. I can't deal with it. I can't handle it. That's fear and anxiety. Just those 2 reasons alone drive many people away. And there might be others, and I'm sure there are. This happens. It happens a lot. It is very sad and it's very hard for the person who's dying and for the primary caregiver, whoever's affected by the disappearance of close family, close friends. It's unbelievable. People's hearts are broken by this. I want you to know. And I don't want to shame you if you've been a person who has done this. I want you to understand that if you find you are a person that has done this, then it's a time that you can use right now to get your healing around this. What is it that made you disappear? Okay, take a look at that. Forgive yourself for that. Do whatever you need to do to move past it and to forgive yourself, because you didn't know. Know that this is super common, so you're in good company. But now how you can do like a living amends. You can do a living forgiveness of yourself by passing on your new skills to the next person that you come across, which may be the one you're in this class about. So step forward now. Know that the people who have left, if they could come back, they would. If they can come back, they will. Know that this happens. I wouldn't bring it up to the person or the family members. They'll tell you. I don't feel it's something you need to make everyone aware of. It's not a teaching moment for you. Let them tell you if they want to share that with you, that their heart is broken in that way. The point of this class right now is to tell you that it's so. And I have a way for you to deal with this if you choose to. Here is Dale. He does beautiful things with the dying, with music and things with his hospice. I'm just very, very proud of him. It's personal for him. He volunteers his time. It gives him great personal satisfaction to do the service that he does. I'm very grateful that I get to meet people like this. They empower me and give me a new sensitivity as well. Myth number one around this is, well, aren't they on hospice? Don't they have all they need? Like, isn't it okay that people might need to disappear for whatever reason? Well, not necessarily, because when you're on hospice, you have excellent medical care, you have equipment, you have medication, you have the consultant role from the nurse, the physician, the chaplain, the social worker, you have the certified nursing assistants that come and help bathe, but there's not companioning with Medicare benefit. There's not caregiving with Medicare benefit. They try to fill in the companioning part with the volunteers, which are amazing. If you can volunteer with hospice, that's amazing. And with the volunteer in hospice, they're going to be limited with the organizational structure and the time limits and what they're allowed to do, and also the time that they're able to volunteer. So maybe they only get to volunteer once a week or once a month. So you can see that the volunteer can't take this whole burden on. There's another myth around this. Well, I'm not part of the family. I'm not part of the inner circle. I'll be in the way. I'll be unwelcome. And a lot of people think they're going to be intrusive and that people aren't going to want them around. So this is where, call me if you need anything. Okay, just give me a call if you need something. Well, that's where that comes from, because people's fear, again, here it is, the fear of, I'm going to be in the way. I'm being presumptuous. I want you to err on the other side, which is they probably would enjoy a visit. I want you to err on that side because there are way more people that would enjoy a visit or need the help than who are part of the other that you're being intrusive. Guarantee you. Myth number 3. What can I possibly do that would make a difference? This is a devastating event. Say it's a child who's dying. Say it's somebody with ALS and they're young. Say it's somebody who has so much energy and life to give and they're 75 and they want to be here for all the grandkids and the plans that they've made. It doesn't matter how old a person is or how young. It can be so devastating. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes people accept it just as a natural life cycle, and sometimes it is so devastating. And people sometimes think there couldn't possibly make a difference. But just having a cup of coffee, talking to somebody as if they don't have that disease, it's one thing to deny that death is happening. And of course, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is they are also a human being. In this picture, say Harry's in the gray jacket. Harry wants to talk about Harry and how he felt when he went on his first date, or how he's going to be sad when his wife wakes up the day after he dies. He wants to talk about himself. He wants to talk about what he loves also. It's not just all about the illness. It's not just all about dying. People really miss being able to just be who they are. Can that make a difference? You betcha. Absolutely. Secret 3. This is the top thing that I'm going to ask you to do. It might be hard for you, but it's not hard. It's easy. It might be difficult to do, but it's not hard. It's easy. Make a commitment to a schedule with them for the duration. How long is it going to last? Nobody knows. But if you can find a place inside of yourself that you go, every Wednesday at 2, I'm going to be there. Every Wednesday from 2 to 5, I'm going to be there. Every Wednesday from 2 to 3, I'm going to be there. Every Friday from 7 to 9, I'm going to be there. Every Saturday from 9 to 5, I'm going to be there. And you tell them that unless something crazy happens, you can count on me. I can be here Wednesday from 2 to 5. Saturday or Sunday or both, or I can be there 24 hours from Saturday morning 9 a.m. to Sunday morning 9 a.m. Pick a time. Make it convenient to your schedule, because you've done a couple things now. Let me tell you what you've done. You have given them something to count on. They have nothing to count on right now. The person they love with all their heart, the person who's dying, they cannot control this. It is happening. Everyone knows we're going to die. We don't know when, we don't know how, but I can tell you that so many people, when they're dying, they don't want to be dying this fast. Sometimes they want to die faster, but people have no control over this. Give them as much control as possible to have the best life possible would be to just show up. One day you might always be the person who does the yard. Or one day you show up, you do the yard. The next time you show up, you just sit and talk. Maybe the next time you show up, you're there while they're sleeping and you just pray for them as they're sleeping. Maybe the next time you show up and you're watching the kids. Next time you show up, you're bringing food or you're cooking food for the week. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's not so much what you're doing, it's that you're showing up, because now they can all count on you. They know Jerry's showing up every Friday at 4. Melissa's coming every Monday at 9. We know we can always have Heather here from 6 a.m. to noon every single day. Some of you will be charging for what you're offering, but I'm talking mostly to people who are friends and families and colleagues who will not be charging. These are things that you're just doing out of the goodness of your heart in a way that you feel helpful. So now, not only can they count on you, and they can make a schedule at least a little bit, you have satisfied that part of you that wants to do something. It is a wimpy cop-out for us to do. Just call me if you need anything. It's such a cop-out, guys. We know that. I catch myself saying it sometimes because I'm too scared to say I want to be there, or I can't be there and I don't want to say I can't be there. Instead of saying, hey, call me if you need anything, don't ever say that. That's a very painful thing to say. If you need to say anything and you can't say, hey, I'll be back Wednesday at 2, then just say, bye, I love you, I'll be checking on you. We need to be transparent. We need to be real, and we need to be authentic, and we need not to be martyrs. So it doesn't help them if you're wearing yourself out trying to be there for everything when you cannot. When you have young children yourself, you have a full-time job yourself. You have to make a commitment, though, if you want to be helpful and you really want to be there, make a commitment for what you can actually do. It may be a stretch, but you know you can do it. It may be once a month. It might not be every week. Whatever it is, though, they'll be able to count on it. One of the myths around this, I work too long. I just have a little bit. I only have an hour. I can't. If you have an hour, that is immense, because that 1 hour will give somebody a moment to close their eyes. Don't think an hour is too little. If you work all the time, if you can just one day a week show up, say Fridays at 8 o'clock, Wednesdays at 8 o'clock, they know that they get a nap Wednesdays at 8, or maybe they know they have somebody to talk to Wednesdays at 8. Think about all that can go on in an hour. Think about, you don't have time to go to the gym because it's an hour. You don't have time to do anything because you've got to work. You got to do this. You got to think about what an hour of freedom would do in your life. And you giving that hour to somebody in this situation is giving them an hour of freedom, giving them some kind of presence, loving, supportive presence from another person that's helping to care and take the burden. Myth 2, I'll make it better. This is another thing that does not work, I promise you. It makes light of the enormity of what's happening, even though the person has such good intentions. And I know I have done this myself in the early days, thinking that if I would just lighten up a little bit, I would help bring the energy up. Maybe I would help them to laugh. All of this, it doesn't work. It's disrespectful. It goes against the reality of what is happening. Let them share with you how they want to handle things. When you go to the house, like I said in the beginning, let the tone of what's happening there guide you on how to be in that moment. Match the vibration of what's going on to the largest extent. Don't try to come in there and change anything. You being who you are is going to help rise the vibration. You being who you are, a loving, supportive, kind, curious person who's not trying to change anything, but is just coming to show love. That there is going to help stabilize and show respect. So don't try to go and change everything and make it better. It's not going to happen. Myth 3, people are very private and they don't want you around. People are private, that's true, but people are very isolated when this happens because, like I told you, a lot of people leave. Not everybody. Sometimes everybody comes forward, but for most people, there's not enough people around to help and be helpful. So one of the ways that you can handle this, and you can be part of this, say something like, I would like to be there. I would like to come over on Friday. Is that okay? And they'll say yes or no. If they say, oh, don't worry, we don't, just say, I'll be there Friday at 4, okay? That's all you have to do. If you keep questioning and try to have an out for them, they're feeling for the most part that you're trying to have an out for yourself. So just be very directive. I would like to come over. I'm going to be there Friday at 4, Tuesday at 10. Will you be around? I would like to bring some of my mom's famous chicken, whatever it is that you want to do, and just show up. Just show up. The mystery is in everything else that's happening, the dying, the decline, the spirituality of the forgiveness, the legacy, all these beautiful aspects is where the mystery is. Showing up is not mysterious. Showing up is the gift. Just show up, take a chance that they're going to slam the door in your face. Chances are they're going to welcome you in. If you get to a person's house and they say, I really don't appreciate you showing up, then leave. Don't be afraid to call and ask if you can show up again. Okay? I want you to step into this with confidence. Are you taking a risk? Yes. Everything is a risk in this life. Everything. And accompanying the dying is no exception. Sometimes you're going to say the wrong thing, but that's okay because the biggest thing is you're showing up. What I'm asking you to do in this teaching, in this class right here, is to show up for yourself by pausing and taking a minute every time before you call, every time before you go. And then I'm asking you to step in, lean in, and show up actually on premise where they are. And just be with curiosity. Try not to fix anything, and don't cry harder than they are. And you're going to be fine. Take the risk that they might slam the door on your face. What is the worst thing that could happen if that happens? They'll say, gosh, she really cared. She was a little too forceful. She came over. She didn't even ask. Even if you did, it could be misinterpreted. Take the risk. Chances are they want you there more than they don't want you there. So now you know what to do. Self-check-in. I want you to understand the complexity of what's going on right now, and that how some people who love them dearly disappear, and how you showing up can help fill that gap. You're never going to take the place of the loved ones that disappeared, but you will help with the situation by bringing your love and your